Welcome to the Headley Highlight Show's Headley Headspaces. The Headspaces are a series of thoughts and musings I have during the course of the week, and I chew all over them and I share them with you. And this Headspace is called Iran's Power Move, Flipping the GPS Switch on the US and Israel. So before I get into my headspace, which is Iran's power move, flipping the GPS switch on the US and Israel, I firstly want to say thank you to all of the individuals who have been subscribing to my new YouTube channel. I now have 1,631 subscribers. I was aiming to get to 1,700 by the end of the week, so who knows, I might get another 8 subscribers and get to that number, but at the moment I'm at 1,631, which is amazing. And I just want to thank everybody who's been listening to my channel. Also, I want to thank that I had a very special donation, the largest donation I have ever received in my broadcasting life from somebody who is interested in my work. I received £100 donation the other day, and I wish to say a very special thank you to that person who donated via my website. Thank you for your encouragement and thank you for your support. I'm not sure if it came as a consequence of my Royal Corner or my other work, but frankly, I don't mind. The mere fact that you wanted to do that is a real boost, so I appreciate that so much. And if you do want to make a donation, you don't have to make as big as that one, or you might want to make even larger. Who am I to stop you? But I'm more than partial to 3 wings and chips, which is basically £3.50 with a Miranda. That makes it to £4.10 at my local chicken shop. So if you would be interested in going for that, or you want to buy me a feast from your own country where I eat everything, which is a speciality, I would be absolutely honoured, and I'd see it as a public service to do so. So now that I've done that, don't forget, jump into my show on Fridays. But this Friday, I'm not having a show because it's my daughter's graduation. So my show is going to be aired over the weekend, and I'm working out which day, probably Sunday, I'm not sure. But irrespective of that, I'm going to just hopefully see you again the following Friday on X, which is at 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. Eastern Time every Friday, and it's the Headley Highlight Show. And you can also see my work at deniseheadley.com on my website. Now that I've done that humongous preamble, let's jump straight into this week's Headspace, which is Iran's power move, flipping the GPS switch on the US and Israel. Now, during the course of the 12-day war, Iran pulverized quite a considerable amount of Israel. They hit their financial centers. They also hit the Mossad buildings. They also hit some of their key infrastructure and some of their transportation hubs. And the importance of the ceasefire that's currently holding now is that both parties are allegedly engaged in a negotiation to but to maintain the peace. I am somewhat skeptical, primarily because Mr. Netanyahu was due in court this week, and he didn't appear in court because it was said that significant steps were going to be taken against Iran, which he needed to be in post to implement. So I'm not sure if this was another case of what they call perfidious Albion, which is basically treachery in negotiations. That's the specific British term, but the other term is perfidy. Basically, it's a war crime where you lull people into a negotiation stance and you effectively act in a treacherous manner in that way, which is exactly what happened with Iran. Iran was at the negotiation table. Israel hit on the Sunday and they were still in negotiations. The whole thing was a ruse. So diplomatically, questions about ceasefires brokered by Trump and co. always come with the caveat, sleep with your eyes open. Absolutely don't eat anything that you're offered, and you need your own security. Now, the reason I shared that context with you about the ceasefire is because of Iran's power move during this period. So this week, Iran turned off the American infrastructure GPS system and replaced it with the Chinese constellation of, I think, 30 to 40 satellites orbiting the Earth called BeiDou. The reason this is important is that practically most countries on the globe use the American GPS system. And it's also potentially used for power projection. And what I mean by power projection is if I'm an imperial power and I wish to exert a particular type of influence, I can turn off your GPS. And as a country, you'll have no satellite navigation possibilities. So with Iran moving over to the Chinese BeiDou system, this has major geographical and, as far as I can see, political ramifications in Iran's favor. It has broken the historical reliance on the GPS system. This system has been in place since the Second World War, and many countries on the globe are reliant on it. By moving over to the BeiDou system, Iran has ensured that service blackouts and surveillance and other cyber risks from adversaries of Iran are minimized because they are now working with an ally as opposed to an adversary, because the US is an imperial power. One of the reasons I labeled this headspace, Iran's power move flips the switch, the GPS switch on the US and Israel, is that in this 12-day war, they were reliant on an American infrastructure system for GPS navigation. Now, if, as I think, tensions and conflict is going to resume, they are no longer going to be relying on that. They won't have it jammed, there won't be disruptions, there won't be service blackouts, and it cannot also be not intercepted, but used as a way to navigate where people are or where assets are that need to be destroyed, because that's exactly what happened when Israel struck the scientists who were involved in the nuclear program, and they were unalived in an apartment block with everybody else. 65 people were unalived in that attack. And there is a considerable body of opinion that metadata was used to help locate them. So this move to BeiDou would effectively create security for Iran's assets, because they're no longer relying on the satellite navigation system and infrastructure supplied by an adversary, which is the US. I also mentioned the reason why the shift is taking place is because of that geostrategic alignment with China. Now, Iran is aligned with China for trade, energy, and defense. And this is a further, indemnification. Can you indemnify a relationship? Anyway, basically, the relationship has become stronger as a consequence now of using the BeiDou system. So Iran and China are moving closer together. One of the important factors that many governments are using is the shutting down of internet access. Now, in the 12-day war, Iran blocked 97% of internet access so that they could control the narrative. It's exactly what happens in Israel. You were banned from showing any pictures of the damage that Iran was causing. And this type of censorship is very much in place now. Many governments use the internet as a way of closing off the conversations and, making sure that nothing gets out and nothing gets in. And this is one of the advantages, or you might see it as a disadvantage, of the BeiDou system. They will have greater control of shutting down the internet. And they've also banned and urged their own citizens to remove WhatsApp and Instagram, and saying that they are espionage tools. That's just not something that's unique to Iran. The House of Representatives banned WhatsApp because they were concerned that it had security risks. So now what you have is the BeiDou system. You also have other GPS systems which run alongside. The EU's version is Galileo, and Russia has GLONASS. So this issue of having control of your satellite systems, it seems to be part of the multipolar world that we're now moving into. The new satellite system has greater accuracy, and it has a GPS basically of 3 to 5 meters. It has anti-jamming, better encryption. It's got military-grade resilience. It's got unique communication features without cellular networks. So that basically means all of our cellular networks are compromised. That's why they don't want to use those. They also have a global reach because now the BeiDou system is being used in 140 countries. So Iran is now part of this new revolution of getting their satellite navigation no longer from the US. And you might ask yourself, how did BeiDou come about? Well, the reason that BeiDou came about and the fact that Iran was able to make use of it was that in 1996, in the Taiwan Straits, China experienced a real exposure on American GPS system. They had a boat there. They believed that the boat had particular types of cargo. They boarded the boat. They didn't find anything. And then China realized that they were compromised because they were relying on a system which effectively could be used in an adversarial way against them. And what they did was they quietly went through a stage from 1996 to where we are now to make BeiDou the system it is. And they have a goal to make it the primary navigation system. So what that means is everybody in the global south is going to be coming off of the American infrastructure systems. And Facebook, Meta, OpenAI, they are seen by the global south, many people and many political thinking around that they are tools of espionage, because the main conflict that we're in is not just the kinetic war conflict, but it's the information conflict. So getting back to the whole point of why this was a power move is because going forward, if Iran is engaged in any more conflict, they won't be relying on the American GPS system. That's a major change from what happened a week ago. Iran also is part of the world leader in the creation of drones, hypersonic missiles. They're very involved in AI, and they're a very progressive society in terms of their technological development. So therefore, the BeiDou system potentially is going to be, integrated into air defense, and it also provides more resilience to oil tankers and routes that evade Western tracking if trade routes are going to be attacked going forward, because this war seems to be escalating, unfortunately. It's also a very symbolic shift what Iran has done, because it signals that China is becoming part of the core and the hub of the eco-tech and digital system, which provides countries with sovereignty. Because you don't have sovereignty if you're part of the Bretton Woods European colonial system. No, what you have is vacillation. And a vast number of countries are effectively vacillated. Whether you agree with me or not, we are a vacillated country. Many of the new countries that ascended to the EU vacillated. That's why they can't actually elect anybody they like, because essentially a commission in Europe by unelected bureaucrats will tell you, we don't like that person, you can't use that person anymore. So that's the nature of that. And in addition to that, it just goes to show that Iran is one of the key players in the global South's development. And as more countries adopt the BRICS model, more countries want to be part of that model. G7, G20, that's so yesterday's news. It's BRICS, people, yeah? That is a key driver. Having sovereignty, having integrity and confidence in your satellite navigation systems, so that you are not left at the behest of those who can project their power by manipulating the infrastructure to their benefit in your country, be that militarily, be that for weather, be that for, agriculture or for defense, and that you are relying on. And the other fundamental issue is that the next update to the American GPS system won't be coming until 2030. So it's way behind schedule, as per usual, with the Chinese. Because the Chinese are at the forefront, people. There's no point in denying it. They are at the forefront of many of these technological developments. They have a very focused longitudinal government system which creates stability in that country and has helped to lift more than, 23 million people out of poverty in a generation. That is the type of economic model we can do with, but instead you're told to hate them because they, one, look different and they're constantly spying on you. We just live in that narrative, Orientalism, racist bubble about the Chinese. But anyway, I've gone off on a slight tangent. The point I was making is that Iran, while everybody was talking about how, they're involved in this activity and that activity, what activity they were involved in was data security, integrity, and also ensuring control over their satellite navigation systems. And I think that is huge. So that's the reason why I called this headspace Iran's power moves flips the GPS switch on the US and Israel. Because if anything happens, They'll just be speaking to their partners in bricks for information. So what do you think? Were you aware that so much of the world was reliant on an American-based GPS system? Because I wasn't aware of that until I watched the video. And when I saw that, I thought to myself, this is so interesting. I'm so bringing it to you. What's your thoughts? Your 2 pence, your 3 cities? Jump up in the comments, because this week, guys, it's going to be not a live show. And if you've got any thoughts, I'll be more than happy to hear them. But please leave a comment, like, or share. Don't forget to make a donation. And I'm going to see you next week. And cut! You've been listening to the Headley Highlight Shows, Headley Headspaces. See you next week. And cut.